Hey, tried to figure out, we share the same skies. This is the way that I think it should be played, or not really the way I think it should be played, the only way I could figure out how they played it. Obviously I don't know how they do it on the record, but gave them my best shot trying to figure out how to make it sound like that. So I'll play it for you right now, and then I'll go over the parts about it. So. Alright, obviously wasn't the best, but most of the parts are in there. The first part is on the A string. Well, the first note is on the A string on the 11th fret, the A flat, and then you go to the 9th fret on the D string, the B. Well, I guess this thing is just like 11th, 9th on the D, 11th on the D, and then 13th on the D. So you're going 11 on the A and then 11 on the D, and then you go. So. So you're just switching between the A and the D string, but you're staying on the 11th fret on the A string, and then just going between 11th fret, 13th fret, and 9th fret on the D string. And the rhythms you kind of just pick up from the song. what's going on there is like they're kind of playing. It's just a way to play E. Like this is a E's right there, and but you're just taking the 12th fret. Just a fancy way to play E is what they're doing. So the song's an E, but, and then they're moving down to D, right here. And this is the second part of that first riff. It's same thing. You're on the 9th fret of the A string, and then the 8th fret of the D string, and you're walking up the 8th, 9th, and the 11th frets. And you just move in between those two things 3 times. So the whole riff is just. So, yeah, you're just switching this little piece, which are the chords in the next part. So I feel like you can figure out the rhythms from the song. I don't really know how to like write out the rhythms for you, or just like clap them out either. But and then for the first verse, or the verse, you play this chord, which is open E, 11th fret on the A string, 9th fret on the D string, 11th fret on the G string, and then 12th fret on the B string. But you don't really have to play that B. You don't have to play that B because you're already playing B right here. But it's a pretty sounding chord. I think that's what they're doing. And then you move. What I usually do is you move that whole thing down, and then move your index finger up 1 fret. So it's now 9th fret on the A string, 8th fret on the D string, 9th fret on the G string. And you don't want to play the pinky anymore. That would be weird. So you're going. So you're only playing 3 strings right there, the A, the D, and the G. 9th, 8th, and 9th fret. Sounds kind of, it's the 7th chord, but in the context of the song it works. And this other chord, the one they're doing now, 3rd chord in that phrase, pretty interesting. I'm playing it, so that would be 6th fret, like you bar the 6th fret, and then you put your middle finger on the 7th fret of the B string, and then you put your ring finger on the 8th fret of the G string. I don't know what the name of that chord is, but it's cool. So that would be 6th fret on the A string, 6th fret on the D string, 8th fret on the G string, 7th fret on the B string, and then 6th fret on the E string. So those are the first 3 chords, and they'll happen more in the song. So those are the first 3 chords that I'll just check and see if this is recording. Okay, so, and the rhythm goes. That's the first part of the verse. And then the second phrase of the verse starts on those same 2 chords. Then I do. This is what I think sounds best for it. So you're playing the D string on the 8th fret, the the G string on the 8th fret and the B string on the 11th fret. So that would be 8th, 8th, and 11th on the D, the G, and the B. And then you slide down to which would be 6th fret on the D string, 8th fret on the G string, and 9th fret on the B string. So the whole phrase, or going between those two, would be so the second part of the verse would go again. And so that is the first two parts, or the first two lines of the verse together would go. Oops. And then the final part of the verse, before we go into the chorus, would be same two chords again that you start those last two phrases with. And then they go into this like single note line, which is the 13th fret on the D string. You started on there. Then the 11th fret, back to the 13th, back to the 11th, to the 9, or 9, to the 11th on the A string. And then after that, you go to these like mini chords. So it would be so that those chords are 9th fret on the D, 9th fret on the D string, 8th fret on the G string, 9th fret on the B string. And then you go, the second chord in that phrase would be 8th fret on the D string, 6th fret on the G string, and 7th fret on the B string. And then that da 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 is just 9th and 9th on the G and B string. And then you go down to the 8th and the 7th fret on 8th on the G string, and then 7th on the B string. So that phrase at the after the single note line would be and you have like the hit that note, and then you go to this chord, which is a B, like a B bar chord, except you're only playing the last 4 strings. So it'd be 9th fret on the D string, 8th fret on the G string, 7th fret on the B string, 7th fret on the E string. So that ending of the verse is kind of complicated, but this is the way that whole, I broke up the verse into like 3 different parts, and each part starts with the same 2 chords, and so the first part ends with that chord right here, the second part ends with these chords, and then the third part ends with that single note line going into this like pre-chorus kind of thing. So I'll play the third part with the single note line. So together, all three of those parts, goes like this. And then you go into the chorus, which is the same thing as the riff in the beginning. And you play it 3 times, and then on the 4th time it ends with these like hits. So I'll just play it for you. The first 2 times are played like this. This is again on the 11th fret of the A string and the 11th fret of the D string, and you're going in between the 11th, the 13th, and the 9th fret of the D string. And that second part again was 9th fret on the A string, and then you're going between the 8th, the 9th, and the 11th on the D string. So those are the first 2 times in the chorus. You played it like that, like you would in the beginning. And then on the 3rd time, you play it a little differently. You start on the 13th fret of the D string, where normally you start on the 11th fret. Like normally it's you're going 11th, 13th, 9, 11, 13, 9. But this one you start 13, 11, 9. And then you do this bend on the 13, so. And that's the 3rd part of the verse, or 3rd part of the chorus, and then you go back down again to that part of the chorus. So I'll play the first 3 parts together. So on the end of the chorus, instead of going, like usually we're playing that and we go down to the 8th fret. On the 4th time, where you would normally go down to the 8th fret, you're actually going to go down and hit an F sharp bar chord, or an F sharp major bar chord, and then you go to an A flat minor bar chord. So it would sound like, and the rhythm you can hear in the song. And then you repeat the verse again. And the verse does the same exact thing as it did last time. And I'll just run through it again. Through the chorus, same way again. So as long as you know the chorus and the verse, pretty much got it. But after the second chorus, when you go into this bridge, and it's the same. It starts with the same. It has the same chords as the verse. So you start with the first chord from the verse, which is the 11th fret on the A string, 9th fret on the D string, 11th fret on the G string, 12th fret on the B string. And you go from there, just play that twice as long as you would in the verse. Then you go down to this, the third chord of the first part of the verse. So remember, the verse goes... On the first part, you have those 3 chords. Well, you go in between the first and the third chord. You skip the second chord, so... And then you do it again. Except for this time you go to the second chord and not the third chord. So the first 2 parts of this bridge are... And then you do it again, going from the first chord to the third chord. And then I don't know where this came from, but they thought about doing it. They're going, So what's happening there is you're on the D string and the G string. You're on the 7th fret of the D string and the 6th fret of the G string. Sort of sounds like an A major. And then you're going to... That is the 6th fret of the D string and the 4th fret of the G string. You just go back and forth between those 2. And then you slide it up 2 frets and do the same thing again. So you'd be on the 9th fret of the D string, 8th fret of the G string, and then you'd... That second chord would be 8th fret on the D string, 6th fret on the G string. So that together is... So you go ba 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 ba. That's like 2 times per chord, and then you move up. You do it once per chord, and then on this last time you do this like. So it's the notes that were in this that 3rd chord of the verse, that cool chord. Essentially, they're just taking those 2 notes that you fingered, which is the 7th fret on the B string and the 8th fret on the G string, and they're just bending them up. So you would go. So I'm just like, I'm playing that with my ring and my middle finger, so that this first finger is open to just grab that 7th fret on the B string. So you... And then after that, you go back into the chorus. And you do that 6 times. And the normal chorus is 4 times, and on the end of the 4th time you do that. But on this one, on the end of the 6th time, instead of going, you kind of just go straight into the. So on the 6th one, you're going to sound like this. Just the way the song ends. So the ending verse or ending chorus goes like this. That's how the song ends. I hope I've explained it well enough. I don't have anything written out, so you're going to have to just listen to like, oh, those chords, where your fingers go. Yeah, I just called out the frets. Maybe you could write it down. I don't know. Sorry. I think it was really fun learning this, because those are all really interesting chords. I have a feeling they're not doing that the way that I'm playing it, but they probably have two guitarists, so they have more liberty to make different noises, whereas I'm trying to get all of the noises that I hear on one guitar. So maybe there's an easier way to play it, but you won't get that fuller sound. I think this is a pretty good full sound of it. So I guess I'll just run through everything one more time just for you. So the opening riff. Yeah, and then the verse has 3 parts. Each part starts with the first 2 chords. And then the first part ends with the second part. And then the third part. And then the chorus, just like the opening riff. Except for on the 4th time it goes. I'll play it for you. And then the bridge part has just has the same chords as the first part of the verse. That this chord goes to this one. So chord 1 to chord 3. And the second part goes chord 1 to chord 2. And then the third part goes chord 1 to chord 3 again. And then that ending part, which was alright, well, I can maybe write this out and send it to you, or load up something else. If you have more questions, just ask me. I can actually type them out. But I'm pretty sure that's how you play the song. I hope you enjoyed it.